Alright, so we're just flying over to this boat. I need to jump on it here. And... oh, no, 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 no. No. Hello, everyone. So we're talking about Watch Dogs Legion. We're going to give the review here. So, I've been playing this game for a little while, doing a lot of the side activities. I haven't made it very far in the story, but I have explored the lore of the universe that they've created for this dystopian future in London. And I've broken it down into, I guess, 6 categories here, and so we'll kind of dive right in. One of the coolest parts about this game is that it is a really good blend of main story mission along with side activities. A lot of the time I don't know actually what I'm doing because I'm just kind of going with the flow of the missions that come to you. And I don't know if I've experienced a game that's done it as well as this one has, which is really cool because I'm hoping that single player games kind of adapt this more so that you actually feel better about the playtime that you have. Like, Skyrim was really good with this as well. I mean, you knew the main missions in Skyrim, but there were so many side activities that you ended up going on off this, side branch of side missions, and you didn't really even pay attention that, you weren't progressing through the game. And I think that's the main reason that I haven't gone more through the story on this, is that I've gotten sidetracked with side missions that are actually fun, and so that's a really cool thing about this game. First one is combat. So the combat's really fun, especially the hand-to-hand. It's really engaging. It keeps you kind of on your toes, especially if you're doing like the arena or the brawls, or the, what do they call them, the fight clubs or whatever. But it can be repetitive. You get a lot of fighters that have the same fighting style, and so all the moves are very similar. It is still really fun. The bare knuckle matches are really fun, the arenas. But yeah, you be aware of that. They're the subsets of how people fight. It's typically, I've seen these 3. They're you have your boxers, or people who are fighting using martial arts, or kind of like a jiu-jitsu style of fighting, or more of like a brawler style that's very uncoordinated, and they just swing as hard as they can. So, but like I said, it is fun. It's just I wish there was more variety in that area, and maybe hopefully soon they'll add that. As far as the shooting goes, it feels a little bit off. You have enemies that, like, they were trying to create more of a bullet sponge feel, but it's not. Usually it takes like 3 shots or 4 shots sometimes, and then some other times it takes like 8. And that's using lethal and non-lethal weapons, both the same. Once you get used to it, though, it does turn into a lot of fun. Once you get used to the shooting, you can kind of start running in as a run and gun. But it does feels like something is off. I don't know if it's the speed of what you're fighting or shooting, or just the mechanics of the shooting itself. But it does get fun later on. As I got used to it, I found it to be more enjoyable. It seems as of right now the weapon choices are slim. You can recruit people to get different weapons, but I scan a lot of people in the city as I'm walking by, and they all seem to have the maybe 10 different sets of weapons. I mean, there could be a lot more, and if some of you have experienced differently, let me know in the comments. But it seems like the weapon choices are pretty slim at the moment. I just wish there was more variety there. Driving. I'm going to say this is kind of where the game feels like it's lacking the most. I've been playing the game for a good amount of time, and I'm still not used to the clunkiness of driving. It just feels really off. It doesn't... the mechanics of it feel, slower. You always feel like you're driving a tank. And I'm kind of in the boat of wondering why developers don't put first person in vehicles anymore. I mean, or not anymore, but yeah, just first person while driving makes that experience so much more immersive, because things feel faster. It just feels a lot better in first person. So I'm not sure why they didn't add that. I mean, I'm sure it's a huge task to add that, so that's probably why. They probably want to put their workforce in other places instead of focusing on that. But that's something that really does make the driving feel immersive. So as of right now, driving's kind of the biggest con. It's just so clunky, and it feels off. And for the amount of driving that you do, maybe I haven't figured out a faster way to travel, but I know there's fast travel, but it always seems like you can't find a fast travel point. So, and maybe I just haven't done it enough to understand it, but For how much driving that I do in the game, it feels really off. So right now, this is kind of the biggest con to me, because even as much as I've played the game already, I haven't gotten used to it. Spiders, and some drones. So hacking's been a big part of Watch Dogs since the beginning, and one really big part of Watch Dogs Legion is the spider. You have to use it a lot, so if you don't like using it, it's going to be a problem for you. It's a really big part of the game. A lot of the main quests use it, a lot of the side activities use it. To get tech, you use it. Basically, most of the missions you'll be using it. So it's a really big part of the game. It feels fine. The movement, everything feels fine. It's fun. Some of the challenges that you have to do with it are fun. I won't give anything away, but it does have some interesting missions that you use the spider that make it really fun. As far as the drone hacking, it's what you'd expect from a Watch Dogs game. The cargo drone is pretty fun that you can climb on top and fly around the city. I wish it were a little faster, but you can do that, and that's a lot of fun. Environment in London. So Ubisoft had big shoes to fill with Assassin's Creed Syndicate. They made that world feel really lived in. It wasn't just kind of copy and paste city elements around the map. Everything felt pretty organic. So they had big shoes to fill. But in this, I do like the environment a lot. I like the twist of this future that they've set London in, and it's just really interesting. There, of course, like any game, there are some copy and paste elements in throughout the city, like some protests and things like that. But the city's it feels really lived in. The recruiting helps with that because everybody has their own story, and that makes the world feel much, much more lived in. As an American, the craziness of roundabouts and left-hand driving is really difficult to get used to. There's tons of activities and events going on in the world. Like any Ubisoft game, though, it gets repetitive as far as the world events and findable items in the game, such as tech and more. I mean, Assassin's Creed's been doing this for years, and even Watch Dogs 2, and I think the first one. It's been so long since I played the first one, but the in-world items, such as tech and things like that, it's just kind of really repetitive.Recruitment and tech upgrades. The recruitment is really good. It's kind of what they've been advertising. That's the message the game's been advertising on since announcement. It's just you walk up, you say start recruitment, you do a mission for that AI, and then you can recruit them. So anybody you can like hack them to see their skills and abilities and their story, but you can recruit anyone in the city to build up your organization. It's really fun to get different types of individuals, such as people who focus on combat, construction workers, drone experts, a lot of different people. It makes it a lot of fun because you can, change up your play style on the fly like that after you do one simple mission. So it makes the game much more immersive, and as I said, it makes London feel a lot better. The tech upgrades feel pretty useful. There are some that I haven't really dived into yet because I always just buy the level 3 upgrade whenever I buy one. The non-lethal weapons are nice, and there are some other tech upgrades that you can get for like your spider. You can get different drones and some combat abilities, but they feel really useful as far as ones I've gotten so far, and they do help out a lot in battle or in combat so that you can get the advantage and have fun playing. So there are multiple modes. This is kind of a cool part of the recruitment with that you can set the game to be. I think the one I can't remember the one that I'm in. There are some players that or some AI that will die. So if you die, they die. But most of the time they just get injured and go to the hospital. There's also a permadeath mode that if the person you're playing as dies, they're dead. You can never get them back. So it's kind of a cool way to make a twist on that recruitment, and I'm really glad Ubisoft added that. Conclusion. So if you were a Watch Dogs 2 fan, I was even a Watch Dogs 1 fan, I know that the game set the highest amount of expectation and delivered the lowest possible outcome. But I was still a really big Watch Dogs 1 fan. But if you're a Watch Dogs 2 fan, this game is, it's a completely different game, but as far as mechanics, it feels a lot like Watch Dogs 2. And so it's a massive upgrade. It's really fun, really immersive, so you'll enjoy it. But if you're a massive Watch Dogs 2 fan. While some of the movement, the driving, and some of the combat feel kind of funky, The game keeps you thinking, strategizing, and approaching situations differently, which is one of the better parts of the game. But if you're somebody who's a fast-paced first-person shooter who's never been introduced to Watch Dogs, and if your preference isn't single-player games, this might not be the game for you. It might be worth waiting until it goes on sale if you're looking at it. But if you're looking for something that can, kill a lot of time, a lot of us are looking to kill time during 2020. This is a fun one. I haven't dived too much into the story, but as far as the story goes, it's kind of just as far as I've made it so far, it's just kind of your typical run-of-the-mill resistance build-up story. There's nothing in the story that hasn't surprised me or hasn't, I basically have never felt like I can't skip a cutscene because I didn't know what was going to happen. But as far as gameplay goes, I'm really enjoying it. If that opinion changes as I move through the main story, I'll keep you in the loop, but thank you for watching, and if you want to get Watch Dogs, you can get it basically anywhere you buy games, on console or PC.